Greetings. Hi, how's it going? It's been a couple of weeks since we have played this particular game. Because I was away at a convention. And by away, I mean it was a local convention, so away in the sense of maybe about a mile from here. But we have returned, and now we will attempt to dive back in and try to get through this. I'm going to be honest, I am getting a little bit restless with this game. A little bit. Just a little bit. I don't know exactly if it's just if it has anything to do with the way that interaction keeps happening in different... in the same way, even though it's applying to a lot of different things. I'm not sure. It is starting to feel a tiny bit more grind-like to me. I'm not sure if that's just me, or if that's something to do with just with this game, or if it's just like the way that I personally react to these kinds of games. But we'll see. I want to try to get through this thing, so we're going to do that as best we can. So let us keep going. What I am saying is I may end up consulting the various online resources perhaps slightly more often than I had intended. We shall see. I just clicked continue without even thinking about it. I may have to restore. Okay. Alright. It's like, dead bodies. Oh, no, wait, it's okay. Those dead bodies have been there a very long time. Way too long, actually, but, you know. However these things go. So, also, in particular, I've discovered that it was probably not even necessary for me to pick up the all of the various items that I did, but I have them just in case. So it's I'll probably need them when it comes to the whole deal with the Sorrow, which I think we might be getting back into again today, probably. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. You tell me why not. Do I have my pencil? I don't. I have nothing with which to take notes. Well, that's alright.
Of course we can help.
Can we?
Right, Al?
There is no help.
I'm ready.
No, you're not. Alright. There we go. Endless Gate, Narcissus Tomb. Okay. And we already grabbed stuff from in there.
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Once again, I'm saving because why not? Take two. There was already a take two. Oh well. I just clicked overwrite without thinking about it. Okay. Let's just check our gear and make sure we've got what we need with whom we need it. I handed her a bunch of stuff before. Gold and blue. Empathy, compassion, and sacrifice. My goodness, we've got to do something about that. Need to get the silver tied up again. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, she still has the infused crystalline shard. And I'm wondering... Did we in fact pick up all the things? Is this... Am I in the right place? What is happening? Okay, get that out of the way. Just want to make sure. I'll make sure we have all the things we need. I thought I handed off the various healing things to the people who need them, but maybe I didn't. Or maybe I already consumed them. I don't know. Concentrated spray flesh. I have 3 of those. I have encephalic rush, amplified encephalic rush for intellect. I have illustrated force for might. Ah, okay. You take that. No, you have it. For now. Fleetfoot moss goes to you. And that'll be that. Okay. I think we'll be good. We'll see how this goes. Once more. You're carrying 4 ciphers. Okay, so yes, we do have the things that we need for the most part. Alright. Well, we'll give this a try. Ah! You scared? Just a little. This is actually take 3, but I'm going to overwrite it. Alright, here we go.
Fine.
Are you sure? Is it fine?
I'll remember that.
We're going in. Alright, once again, content warning because we're going to get into a form of torment, ha ha ha, that is not good in this room. So, and it's going to be possibly even worse than before because I'm going to do something slightly different. So please be aware of that. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to try to do this without fighting. Yes. Alright, here we go.
Of course.
We interacted with these folks last time. Kill us, the children brought us here not to die but to suffer. Our deaths make them stronger. If you kill us, you'll only die here as well. Run, save yourself. There is only death. And this time I am going to put them out of their misery. Which unfortunately raises my gold tide. Well, weight in the air increases. Whatever's watching is growing stronger, and that's the problem. But, you know. Oh, I see. It gives us an alternate way around.
Let's go.
You'll never survive. And it's over there, gone. Truly released. Path before you is clear. Your blade slides through them like melting butter. Their screams turn to gurgling death rattles while their blood sprays you head to toe. Yeah, that's great. Some pressure on you squeezes and loosens and bursts until you realize it's the air itself laughing. Whatever lives here has grown stronger still. Because I'm an idiot.
Trust and honesty are our bonds.
Are they? I see. This gives us paths around these cultists.
Yes.
Yes. Nothing at all foul will befall you. Okay. It takes great effort to hack and saw through them. They scream and shriek with each cut of your blade, continuing long after they should have passed out from the pain. Blood sprays in every direction, covering you entirely. There's a lot of blood in this game. Then it's over. They are gone, truly released, and the path before you is clear. The pressure around you becomes so great you clap your hands to your ears. Even through the flesh of your palms, you hear cruel cackling at a single word. Come. This will be so much fun.
Yes.
But we're not dying nearly as much as we were going to. It was a pain in the arse before.
Trust and honesty are our bonds.
We meet again, noble knight! Here we go. That's Quijano del Toboso. Kiyatawa. Inifere. We're going to save this game. On this gate again. How you got here, I don't know. The tall, scrawny knight beams at you. His armor is more dent than surface now. "My friend," he cries, "I'd nearly given up hope of seeing you again, and here we are in a haunted and murderous land." He couldn't look more excited about this. "The foul leader of these children awaits us," he says. He narrates himself. He says in an overly loud stage whisper, "I've forgotten what you said the children did, but I have no doubt they are guilty of horrendous, unforgivable crimes. When you strike him, I will be at your side." He clears his throat. "Now, of course, if you wish to parley with the villain first to avoid unnecessary bloodshed," he brightens. "I will wait here until bloodshed is inevitable." Yes. Aratus looks fondly at the scrawny man. "Heroes always try to avoid bloodshed until necessary. Sir," he vows, "I find you deeply admirable." Was it difficult getting here? "Thankfully, no," the knight chuckles. "Several of these foul children stood in my way, but I've defeated every one. But I hardly need to tell you, I'm sure. You must have seen their corpses on your way here." "Oh, yes. I've seen several living cultists on my way." "Oh, yes, those." "Oh, dear," he says, misinterpreting your expression. "How thoughtless of me. I should have left a foe or two for you to face along the way," he sighs. "How dull your journey must have been. I beg your forgiveness." "You've been here a while now. What has Inifere been doing?" He says, his brow wrinkling. "Standing, muttering, plotting, I'd say. He looks the type." I'm going to speak with him now. "Indeed, do what you must." Kietawa? On the surface, Kietawa looks exactly the same as when you first saw her in the Dendra of her chapel, while you were investigating the murder of Folsom's protege in the underbelly. But some things have definitely changed. A feverish, blotchy glow colors her skin, and her grin is entirely at your expense. "Ah, it's the investigator," she says. "Good to see you again." "I thought I had you fooled," she says. "The lost little girl surrounded by inhuman cannibals." She shakes her head. "We managed to underestimate each other, didn't we?" "You were spotted in the marketplace. That's what gave you away." "Was everything you told me a lie?" "Speak for yourself. You never fooled me for an instant." "Blue tide, yes." "Huh," she says, shaking her head in wonder. "Someone saw me in the seconds after I ate the corpse that changed me, and you managed to find them. You deserved to catch me." She grins again, "But you didn't." A blue tide raised a moderate amount. She stares past you for a moment, the smile slipping from her face. "I've been wondering," she says at last, "what would have happened if I told you the truth? If I'd confessed the moment we met?" Her eyes returned to yours. "What would you have done?" "I would have turned you in." "I would have killed you on the spot." "We will never know, will we?" I mean, this unfortunately is going to raise the gold tide again, and I don't want to be a nice person, but there we are. But yes. "Help?" she says. "So you're one of those. Let me ease your conscience," she smirks. "The damage was done years ago. By the time I joined the Dendra, I had killed 3 people who were trying to kill me. I had a voice screaming in my head that my existence was wrong. The Endless Gate saved me. It gave me peace, purpose. I don't regret killing those people in the underbelly," she says, raking her fingers through her hair. "Their deaths brought me here. They brought me peace." "I should have known I'd find you here." "What?" she says, barking a laugh, glancing at the men beside her. "You think I'd found a piece of honor here? They don't trust me. None of them do." She snorts again, but she isn't smiling. "Don't you feel guilty for what you've done? Like it all?" "Why should I?" she snaps. "Was life in the underbelly so wonderful? What did I steal from them that was worth keeping?" She is nearly shouting now. "My whole life I've had a voice in my head, whispering, shouting that I was someone else, making sacrifices to the Endless Gate. Shut her up! Why should I suffer? Why should my life be a misery so other people can live? Anyone would have done the same in my place. Anyone! I'll see you dead for this." "I was wrong. You do feel guilty." Her only response is a short, wheezing laugh. "I'll kill you for what you've done." "Are you happy here?" She looks away, mouth set in an iron line. "Are you happy here?" "Why don't they trust you?" Her face tightens as though in pain. "Because I'm one of them. The flesh eaters. They wanted to release me when I arrived, but Inifere stopped them somehow. Gods know why, but I'm not leaving his side. Even here, I'm not. Inifere accepts me. He understands, I think." "Okay. Well, here we go. This is for the entire carton of... This is for the living room suite and everything else behind it. I'm going to save the game one more time because I don't want to repeat the conversations. I'm going to hit new save game. Parlay. Alright. Let's see what we've got going on here. Inifere. This man is long-limbed and bony, unmuscled, and with a sunken chest. Sparse hair on a scarred scalp. Rags hang from his slumping body. He wears the Castoff tattoo, but he's like no Castoff you've seen. He regards you with bloodshot eyes, fever-mad, but just as the pupils remain black and pure amid the veins, you sense something hard and sane within the madness. His words are hoarse and dangerous. You've come too far by far. There is no escape. None leave the gate. Hope, no hope, speak or not. He will die here, or should not have come. Such a pretty brother. Father's loving touch on every inch of you. Born to run among a sunlit lilac Selah, singing Hele, Hele to the gustless strum. Such splendid dreams. He scrapes at a lesion on his arm and cocks his head, listening. But you're the one who fell, aren't you? We smelled you cooking in the sky, always a black omen, a falling star. Our Father in heaven never showers gifts, no, sows trouble, and the reaper comes to harvest. Crops we all are, till we become a cropper. Now you are wandered far away to where woe holds sway, poorly choosing when you chose well. Okay, so something that kind of there's a trend in literature and film and TV and all manner of other media lately, games, to equate, for some reason, poetry with insanity. Now, I've written poetry before, and I kind of get it, but at the same time, and you know, I've met a number of poets. Again, I kind of get it, but at the same time, terrible stereotype for both of poets and of people with mental illness, and so it's not really, yeah, I mean, individual characters can be entertaining, right? But doing crap like this just kind of sheds the wrong light on it. It's really difficult to, yeah, it's hard to say, I think. Unaccompanied, I'll say. I mean, if you have a thing and you establish that the person is already interested in wordplay and is already a poet or some such thing when they go mad, then that's one thing. But to do it as just an expression of madness, as though that, you know, you turn crazy, you start rhyming, even in the ninth world where something like that might be possible, I don't know, it's just it's not something that I think is necessarily great for impressions of mental illness. Also, possibly a little bit lazy. I know, right? Well, what? They come up with all this stuff. Yes, but he is glowing slightly. Yeah, they come up with all this stuff, but it's also something that shows us they have not actually looked into necessarily what the mental condition is. They have not actually done research about it, and that also bothers me. So I'm not necessarily trying to accuse the makers of this game. We've just stumbled across these lines, okay? And this character may prove different, I don't know. But it occurred to me as I'm reading this, and I do not know. It's just every time I run into this, I feel less and less good about it. So perhaps in the fullness of time, I'll have more developed thoughts on it. But this is, yeah, this is just once again, it's more of that. It's that weird madness and whimsy thing, which is a thing that I do. I have used on a number of occasions. Especially in games that I've run, tabletop games that I've run. People are crazy, but they're also amusing. The thing is, and something that I hope, sincerely hope, comes across when I do that, is that the person in question is always in on the joke. They're always a person inclined to whimsy in the first place, and it's not the. There is perhaps also insanity, but that's not. That's not the reason why they're being whimsical. So that's just okay. So that's my rant, which I shall now cease, and we will get back to this, because that's not what you came here to watch, I would think. So let's see. The children love playmates. Your nieces, nephews. They've learned wild lessons as if from father's lips. Pain, pain. Taught with teeth, father did. And I gobbled up every scrap. Now he sneers. But he kissed you, didn't he? Perhaps that's the sharper bite. Inifere sees the twisted mirror caster in your possession, and his eyes creak open, a sudden hunger and anger laid bare in them. Then it is gone, but you notice that he glances at the mirror caster every few moments, as though to assure himself it is still there. Life of my life, why does he have it? What will be done? I want to speak to you first to ask you some questions. This broken mirror caster is yours, isn't it? I want to follow that. Inifere's smile widens, revealing teeth that are chipped and stained. There's so much I could teach you, little brother. Yes. What is this place? Here's where the snake sinks his teeth in his own tail and tastes this black truth. Worse than his venom's burn is the foul flavor, the sweet savor of his tainted flesh. Inifere runs his hands across his emaciated body. This is where pain flays vain lies that hide from our despising eyes the flaws inside our sorry selves. Truth hurts, brother, bright and scalding as starfire, and here it's held with tongues of flame. Your brother's eyes grow distant, and he seems seized by some vision. Our father made me cry out, "Here I hear!" but fled in fear when they hailed him, ill-met in a voice he could not bear. Born in blood, and pain as flesh decrees men should be. He returns to the moment, licks his lips, gestures at the hellscape around you. This is the wound that wounds but welcomes home an alien brood, shelter from the sorrow that shadows our blood. Where are we? Inifere shrugs his bony shoulders. Beyond the gate, brother, that is all. Safe but not safe. Are we still on the ninth world? Inifere just shrugs again. Who are they that you say live here? Yes, he answers, pondering. Who? And are they, or one or none, but a shadow cast upon the plains, a mirror to our fear, smirking back at us? They writhe, they rise, they reach across the void with whispering grips, groping blindly till a fool lights their way. Inifere leans in and whispers conspiratorially, Did father know their name? Did he dream who'd answer his call? Or did he, too, blindly blunder through the dark? He shrugs. No matter, it's done. They are who they are. What do you mean, shelters from the sorrow? Surely, brother, you know what our father fled, why he shucks off husks and hides like the shin beneath a huckster's shifting shells. Inifere studies your face. I know you know. I see the sorrow's horror behind your eyes. It will not cross the threshold of the gate or face the fiends that lurk in this place. Is that why you came? To trade that terror's harrying for a measured measure of woe? You are welcome. You need only open your mind, and they will open their arms to you. It does seem safer here. I will stay. No, I did not come here so I could stay. Would I be allowed to leave? They will do with you what they want, little brother. No, I did not come here so I could stay. Inifere gives a hollow laugh. Wise, brother, very wise. That is, if they permit it. I want to talk about something else. I'm not going to say help me destroy the creatures yet. There's a man named Ronas Kaisul who hunted you down. I can't remember who that is. Let's find out. Inifere smirks. A meddler and peddler of sheep, hope, false friend and would-be mender of men who broke his back bearing a pack of lies. And so he died, easing no lives, avenging no deaths, helpless, whelpless, gasping and grasping the horrors he sought to choke. My God. I mean, there's a name currently. It's that my brain is trying to reach for. Let me reach for it further. Not the name I was looking for, but does everyone become does everyone in this place become Allen Ginsberg? That's what I wanted to know. Yeah. There's there's yeah. Kerouac, that was the name I was looking for. Are we all Kerouac wannabes in this dark place? The knots that bind me to the gate can't be sliced by a nano's knife. They're serpents with a sharper bite. Hack and they strike back, alas, alack, as at the last learned the learned priest who steeply paid for the teaching. See, the problem is when you try to smash Shakespeare into Kerouac, you get this. I am a terrible person. But, you know, I mean, they wanted this to stand out. It does. They succeeded at that. Hack and they strike back, alas, alack, as at the last learned the learned priest who steeply paid for the teaching. See, that's the thing is that, yeah, I mean, we always learn from other things. Shakespeare had a very different way in which he set up word structure, sentence structure, although he did play with words sounding similar, but he kind of he employed them strategically. Here, we get the sort of rolling Kerouac thing, where you're just doing what sounds more like free association, and it is really difficult for those two things to occur together in nature, which is why it looks weird to me as a thing. I know I'm way overanalyzing this. Let's keep going. Sorry, this is what happened when Jim plays a game like this. Okay. After a moment, the smile, never quite real, slips from your brother's face. He was not a bad man, little brother, just a blind one, blinded by grief and by staring too long at what should go unseen. He would have done better to watch where he stepped, but the Aeon priests were right to raise a marker in his memory. You sense you'll get nothing more lucid out of Inifere on the subject. He wrote that you were a prisoner, a slave. Inifere shrugs. We are born into a coffin of flesh, little brother, and even our minds are caged by pain and the fear of pain and the memory of pain. Life is our prison. We call its pressing walls and low roof our home, and guard it with all our captive strength against any liberator fool enough to jangle the keys to our cell. He shrugs again. I am no better. My wardens bend their knees and call me master. But Kaisul was right. I am a slave. So is Kaisul. So are you. Even father. It seems as if your brother is about to say more. Then he considers and chews on his lip. The words come at last, low and slow. The children saw in my agony a path to freedom. The grave worshippers have a road of their own. He shakes his head. But our father seeks fetters, the better to bind him, an armor of chains against the world's banes, an adamantine oubliette. An adamantine oubliette, safe from the haunts that hound him. Yes, adamantine. Adamantine is only a pronunciation we get since Marvel Comics came up with adamantium, but I digress. If it were a metal, that's what we would do, but it's adamantine. I'm sorry, I'm back. I am no better, Inifere says again. Tell me about our father. Your brother's voice becomes low, calm, and careful. His mind's as sharp and shining as a lancet. And all across our clan, all across this rotten world, are the scars left by his surgery. After a short silence, Inifere hacks a bitter cackle. Isn't the make of the man obvious from his misbegotten offspring? Where do you find yourself so fine that you dream yourself a kingly sire? That's a good point. I don't know about you, how you came here, how all this happened. Tell us a story. You do not, brother, for all you think you do. He rolls his neck slowly, cracking each vertebra. There will come a day when you'll wish to vomit up the pain that fills you unto bursting, when you'll regret gorging so long at the feast of others' suffering. He smiles genuinely, it seems, though sadly. But you will not have me to blame on that day. He's reading my tides! Please tell me about yourself. You are asking the wrong questions, little brother, and seeking to peek behind the wrong door. Leave it closed. Why are your followers so bloodthirsty? Oh, the children long to guzzle many bitter brews, brother, Inifere answered, but blood is not among them. They put the stuff to other use, of course. Use, juice, sprucing up the dismal tombs, and who can blame them for bringing color to such a somber land? Inifere laughs, but it is a false laugh, and his eyes are filled with disgust. He sees that you've seen what's inside him and scowls. His voice drops to a whisper. They're preaching, brother, he hisses, spreading the gate's good graces to the heathen flesh-eaters and milk-toast memorialists. He shrugs. Apotheosis by agony. They have my own transcendence, he spits the word, and seek it for themselves and others. His voice lowers again. It's the gate, brother. It drives them mad as must to a bellow heart. They hear the music of this place and it cries for a saber dance. He shrugs, raises his voice. No door opens without a toll, brother. Control is not among them. Among me, they are lost as I am lost. See, these are his thoughts, which tells me that this is the approach that they took. Anyway. Who is Marcissa? Inifere shakes his head. Names, shames, blames, what of them? I, too, read Dr. Seuss. His eyes grow unfocused. I'm so sorry. I'm so terribly sorry. If one day you're a developer of this game and you're watching this, I apologize. I feel as though there are... I kind of am more the school of doing things in a slightly different way when it comes to writing stuff like this. That's just me. His eyes grow unfocused and words pour from his mouth. On Darnalia the red blossoms bloom, and in poets' mouths they're named flesh flowers. But have they seen flesh? I have. Silver-skinned sheaths and yellow adipose clumps and white gristle. How unseemly seems man's unseamed self. How unmeet to these potasters versifying. How poorer tasting these versifiers meet. Marcissa. It comes as a sigh. Marcissa. Speak plainly, who was she? Ever faithful servant, steward of the shrine, preacher of our creed. He smirks. First among my apostles, foremost among the devout. Your brother shrugs. A woman, a mortal, blood to bleed, skin to flay, a hoarse voice to howl holy horror unto the children, a fool, a hook in my flesh, a fraud, a corpse to moulder. His voice softens. Time has laid her low. Time will level her farther still. She was one thing, and now she's another, and so on, even for us, little brother. What happened to her? Wilted, gone. We press mortals between folio leaves, little brother. Between folio leaves, that's a good thing. We press mortals between folio leaves, little brother, our father's folly, and try to keep them, and the pages bear their scent till it fades. The dry flower crumbles in our touch, and all that lasts is written on the page, graven on the tomb. Marcissa. He strokes his tattoo, the same as yours. Are we pressed, brother? Are we flowers, pages, hands that press, marks that last? He puts his empty hand before his mouth and puffs. She's memory in a handful of dust. You loved her. Inifere laughs. Oh, brother, brother. Such romance, such sentiment. Were we star-crossed, dearest Marcissa, crossed by this star before me who fell from the heavens? Oh, what sweaty oaths we swore, heaving beneath the sheets, sweet, sweat, wet, weeping, eh? Brother, love, love, love. He pants the word, love. Inifere shakes his head. You are naive and young. Father left the part that loves in the waste when he carved our flesh. We are dry and barren, and she was a harrow on my fallow heart. Tell me more about her. I have told you nothing, he answers. I will tell you nothing more. Tell me about Choi, the murdered girl. That sounds awesome. Inifere inhales slowly through flared nostrils and runs his tongue across his jagged teeth and ragged lips. You are a bold one, brother, to go to God in his domain. He closes his eyes and again breathes deeply. She was a heart that still beat, eyes before they lost their light, muscle and baby fat and organs spilled on a filthy floor, a purple liver and pink intestines sprawled in the dirt like a schist-stuffed serpent. So much blood in such a small body. He shakes off the memory with a shudder. That is what we are, brother. Skin-wrapped bits of flesh bound to bone by sinew, sparked to life by a universe gone mad. Inifere sighs, snuffed out. But the cosmographers teach that even stars turn to ash. All existence grows cold as it gets wise to woe's creation worked. She went fast. We go slow. In the end, there's just the end. In the end, there's just the end, and nothing past it. He meets her eyes. Do not mention her again, or I will flay skin, then bones, then marrow. Can you teach me about the endless... Yeah, I don't think we're going to press it. Inifere scowls. The children teach with blades now, brother. The time for words is past. Then something softens around his eyes. Oh, little brother, our father set pain to be our pedagogues, no matter what course of study we pursue. In time, you'll learn all that I could teach you about the gate. Enjoy for now the blissful ignorance I never knew. Can you teach me anything about the gate? Your brother looks down and sighs. Our father had me sup upon the learning of poets and priests, whores and hangmen, the high and the low. Do you think it sweet nectar, mead of delight, yea, keys to myriad mind ways? He laughs joylessly. No, brother. Bitter, bitten off and chewed to chum rotting in the gut, skissed in the making. He stares at you. It opened just one door, brother. One gate. I paid for the words racing through my mind. I shall spare you their purchase. Let's talk about something else. Of course. This broken Merecaster, it's yours, isn't it?
Making a note.
Locked, little brother, not broken, or better yet, disarmed, unfanged. I scoured far and burrowed deep to make this mine primed for my mind, set to blast apart the husk our father left behind. He smirks. Or did you think it was a toy, brother, a spyglass to scry past where your eyes can see? An iron bar to pry me open, a way to wallow in the soiled, oily wake I've left upon the tides. I found it, hid it, locked it. In your hand, it's just ballast, nothing more. I have already unlocked it. Oh, nice. Unlock it for me and I'll use it to help you. I think you wanted it found. Why else would you hide it in a tomb that is tied so closely to you? It's a thought, right? Inifere blinks twice and swallows. He seems taken aback by a suggestion. But why? He asks finally, as if doubting his own mind. Why would I want it found? I don't, but then I don't, do I? He does, always. Because you want someone to look into it and understand you. That's a reasonable answer. Because you want someone to use it to destroy you. Because you want someone to use it to help you. Perhaps it wasn't your want, brother. Perhaps it was someone else's idea. Ah! Wow. Okay. Not sure how to respond right now, and this is... I think number one is the best bet, but these are all interesting choices. I mean, number two is is probably the more dangerous one to say, suggesting destroying him. Let's try number one. Blue and gold, damn it. Inifere scoffs. You're not the first to flash that fly above me, thinking I'll strike, but I see the barbs hiding inside, ready to hook me at the first bite, ready to drag me out to where you can gut me. Grope about inside me, grabble and garble and gobble what you want of me. He shakes his head. No, little brother, I'll stay down in the muck, and that bauble will stay safe in its lock. If I want to gut you, I won't need a mirror caster. Now unlock it! If you don't want my help, fine. You're not a fish, Inifere, and I'm not an angler. We're in the same boat, and we need to pull together. Alright, let's give it a try. Oh, good God. I have with me no one who is good at this. Oh, I can get her all the way up to 25%. That's awesome. Want to give it a try? Alright. Well. This is not going to go well. This is not going to go well. I should have used the thing. I should have used the thing! Why didn't I use the thing? I don't know. I've only got a 40% chance. There's going to be a speed run once more coming through. Oh my God. We're going to be speeding through a thing in a minute. Because we're going to fail this, probably. And then I'm going to have to restore the game. And then I'm going to have to go click through the conversation tree. Oh my God. Nope. Inifere smiles sadly. Poor brother, the tides will bear us where they will. We and all our striving would serve to tip the boat. The smile fades. I've seen what swims below the surface, brother, and sipped the salty waters of the sea. The world's tears, brother, the world's piss. Better you stay in your boat, and I in my muck. The stars in the heavens, and the dead in the earth. He falls silent and flicks a finger as if to urge you on to some new subject. Inifere looks to Matkina, who gives a quick nod. He can change it, Inifere. No one else can. He can fix it. Inifere takes a long, deep breath. He taps his fist against his forehead and looks at the horrorscape around him, his eyes alighting on everything but his two siblings. At last he nods, and still without looking, he takes the mirrorcaster out of your hand. Okay, well, having Matkina there, I guess, helps. With that. Twisting and turning it without ever looking at the device, he hands it back with a shake of his head. Your brother meets your eyes with a hard, half-dead stare. Our minds are more dangerous than ciphers, brother. Meddle at your peril. Darkness comes, not quite over you so much as out of you, as if your eyes were rolling back and staring into the black recesses behind them, into the blacker morass of your mind, and into something blackest of all beyond that. You feel it in your marrow, your fingertips, your gut, a stab of reflective pain and electric sensitivity, an upheaval of unwholesome chime. You're remembering a memory of a moment you never lived, a memory awash in self-loathing. Then the darkness becomes absolute. Here we go! Alright. Oh, hey. There's some teeth. And there's some people. In every direction, all is gray. A dreary sky above the calm sea on which you float. The air is wet and lukewarm like the water below. The only sound is the wind's susurrus, so faint as to raise no waves. Weightless and alone, you're not deprived of sensations, but relieved of them. For a moment you bask in something like rapture, a purely physical bliss that belongs to this body, not to you. Then it's gone, replaced with a rush of terror and rage and violation. Go away, your mind screams at you. Without your will. Against your will, your body convulses. You are no longer floating effortlessly. You are thrashing desperately, trying and not trying to drown. Relax, tread water, stop fighting. Yeah, sure, let's try that. Well, 85's not terrible. Nope! Your mind. Your mind, the mind you are trying to make yours, gives no more heed to your command than would a blood-maddened Dragolith. You're buffeted, battered by thoughts that are not merely nonverbal, but almost subhuman. Then the voice returns and shrieks, "You think I'll yield? Never! You can't take this form from me, you won't!" It's Inifere, only seized by a wild terror the Castoff never showed in the flesh. Your body twists spastically in the water. Inifere doesn't seem to be trying to drown, but caught up in his struggle against you and panicked by your presence. He doesn't seem to be able to swim or float either. Why is his mind still here? This never happened before. You slip underwater and discover you're not alone. Dozens of corpses bob around you, some just a few feet from the surface, some in the darker depths. Among them is Choi Kaisul. It's no longer quiet. But it seemed the whisper of a breeze was in fact the droning of the dead. Now, with the water's amplification, you can hear them distinctly. "Filth! Worthless slut traitor! Nobody monster!" Some jeer. "Shame! Shame!" moans another. "Fraud!" one cries out, clear as truth. Choi just weeps. Inifere's consciousness seems overwhelmed by the tumult. Your body's stopped flailing and is merely sinking, but his enervation affects you as well, and your limbs feel leaden and lifeless. Snap out of it, we're going to drown. Force yourself to swim upward toward the surface. Force yourself to swim toward Choi. Force yourself to swim downward. There's not going to be an easier opportunity to deal with Inifere. Let's swim toward Choi. I think that's going to be a key here. Every stroke is a struggle. This body is already weaker than the one to which you've become accustomed, and it balks at your commands like a spent anine. Inifere is not working against you, but his will sits between your thoughts and the body's actions. Consciousness may weigh nothing, but his is dragging you down all the same. Helplessly, you gulp for air and swallow only piss-warm water. You fight harder, but lose even more ground. The weak light of the world above is already fading. As you sink deeper into the dismal sea, you can make out the shadow of something below the corpses, something huge and ancient and awful, all teeth and hunger, which needs no words to convey how small and mean and meaningless you are. Loathing wells up, not from below, but from within. Your flesh and mind resonate with that overpowering will, and your body trembles. Yay! A single massive eye opens, and in a glance assays your entire self. You realize for the first time that you are naked. You see your spindly limbs and sallow, pockmarked skin, your unsexed, withered, worthless body, and you are ashamed. And then everything's gone, and there is nothing but the liminal darkness between dream and reality, life and death, madness and reason. Wake up. Wait. Inifere? Yo, Inifere. At first there's no reply, but you know he's in here still, thwarted, sullen. In time he answers. "Who are you? You're not like the others. You're still awake, scheming, grasping. You feel different. Like him. How are you here?" Oh, well, there's a reason for that. How are you here? I've never tasted you. He pauses briefly in his demands, and you feel his consciousness brush against yours. Who are you? For all his frantic questioning, your brother is not yet the madman you met beyond the gate. His mind may be cracked, but it is not shattered. So, yeah, about that. I'm a Castoff like you. I came here through a Merecaster to help you. I want to help you the way Last Castoff tried. How are you here? My consciousness should have replaced yours. What were those things? The others, those bodies, and the creatures beneath. Why was Choi Kaisul among the dead? So this is kind of a lie at this point, because you know that you're not just a regular Castoff. I want to help you the way Last Castoff tried. talking to them about Choi might open up some things. I don't know if that... I kind of want to mention one of the Kaisuls here. I'm gonna go this way. Inifere laughs bitterly. Father taught me to listen with my mouth, fattened me on grief. I learned to carry the wealth of their woes in my flesh and blood. He paused. I saved her the only way I knew. He pulls away and falls silent. Inifere, are you still there? You sense his seething consciousness lurking somewhere in your mind, but he gives no response. Wait. Time passes or doesn't. The darkness does not lighten, the silence does not lift. Inifere is out there, you can sense him, but only vaguely. Beside him and you, there is nothing here at all. Even the dead are, for the moment, speechless. Inifere, are you still there? Keep waiting. Nothing changes. You're between moments. Inifere's patience appears infinite. Okay, see, this is one of those wonderful loops. Yep. Well, we went down the wrong trouser leg, looks like. Okay. Wake up. You try to will yourself awake, but Inifere clings to the darkness, its solace and solitude, and forces your flesh back into slumber. So this is how it will be, a test of wills. But for all his resistance, Inifere's consciousness soon retreats into the darkness of your mind, whimpering, giving way. It seems he has little stomach for battle. Alright. Fight, Inifere. Force yourself to wake up. You're on a hard bed beneath a coarse sheet. Voices again surround you, their words the same as the corpse curses. Slat, one chants an ancient mantra, another mutters, "Shame, shame!" punctuated by the slap of rawhide. But these aren't the voices from the dream, only echoes. Your eyes open and you see as never before. Nothing's added or subtracted. But certain details take on new clarity. The mold blossoming from cracked plaster. The blemishes on the weary, raddled face of the woman at your bedside. The sores weeping on another attendant's arms. You're not just in Inifere's body, you're in his misery. "The master has spoken! The master has awoken!" the woman cries. Okay. She faces the others. "Let us give thanks," they kneel, and she turns back to you, eyes gleaming with the pleasure of power. "Master, thank you for redeeming us in our suffering, for revealing how, by receiving the world's cruelty, we may escape the world's bondage." Her humility is cheap and hollow, but the others are deaf to the hypocrisy. They murmur their thanks. Marcissa. Inifere sighs her name, and you're stabbed with his feelings for her, contempt and craving alloyed into something harder and sharper than love. So this is the woman who served as Ronos' guide. Something else nags at you, but before you can grasp it, Inifere realizes you're still in his mind and howls, "Out!" Inifere, stop fighting me. "Stop! There is no salvation in the gate. You're only hurting yourselves and others. Get out of bed." Anamnesis. Oh yeah. You plunge deeper into Inifere's mind and remember that day when he first saw the fraud in Marcissa's eyes, as she told the children that the wretchedness of their lives had meaning. Not just some meaning, but the only meaning that mattered. She said it as she always had, but he understood then that, like him, she knew that the only secret of suffering was that it had no secret, no purpose. Like all Inifere's thoughts, this one is rotten, but it has rot's overpowering sweetness too. For here was a certainty, however loathsome he might be, she was worse. Oh my god. With that one look, Inifere understood that Marcissa had come to the same end as him, miserable among the miserable, not by fate or misfortune or fault of birth, but by choice. She came to grub for the shabbiest of vanities. Not even to be the first among the least, but to be second. So when the dead voices whipped up waves to drown him in self-hate, Inifere knew he could always cling to the fact of her shameless grasping after shame, and keep from sinking into oblivion. Oh, great! The memory slips away and you're back in the bedroom, seeing Marcissa all the more clearly through Inifere's eyes. Inifere, stop fighting me, say aloud. Stop, there's no salvation in the gate, you're only hurting yourselves and others. Get out of bed. Try to focus on the nagging sensation. Ooh. You try to shut out the room around you, and the litanies chanted by the cultists, the sharp sounds of pain being inflicted and received. As the outside world damn, I was supposed to do something here, probably. An inner one rises up, the same accusations from the dream resound inside you, unspoken, but understood, a drone of humiliation and loathing and disgust that drowns out other thoughts and feelings. Still, there is something more, not the dead, not Inifere, not you, something like a little chime ringing inside your eye. The ward, cries the Inifere. He's here! My father is here! Oh, boy. Inifere leaps from the bed, fully in control of your shared body. The sheer force of his exuberance sends your thoughts reeling. As adrenaline floods his flesh, you turn giddy, but it only seems to sharpen his thoughts. Now, children, we are to be tested. His voice is greased with unpracticed insincerity, but the others cry out in joy. Now comes the one who would steal the keys to the gate and twist the rising path of suffering into a downward spiral. You cross the room in long, quick strides, but we are not unready. Let us meet him in the gallery. Oh, this will be interesting. Rough-hewn stairs lead to an enormous room, more cavern than hall, that ends in wooden gates. The chiming of the wards is louder, faster. The chatter of the dead is incessant. But more than anything, you feel the weight of Inifere's will, and the bloody purpose to which it is put. All these years, he has expected your father's return. His mind repeats over and over, not helpless, not again, not helpless, not again. You know what he knows, that under the floor there are Numenera, that hidden in cracks and crevices are ciphers. You see what he sees, the faithful girding themselves for battle. This is not a homecoming, it is an ambush. Why is he here? What exactly are you planning to do? And if you're listening to me, I want to talk to our father. Interesting. I mean, I always assume when I say things like this, they're going to say, what? You know, how dare you even think that? Why is he here? He wouldn't throw away a tool he worked so hard to make. Inifere answers, I know he'd come. His thoughts harden, his voice grates, but I won't be used. Inifere nods to Marcissa, who hands him a barbed spear, graven with strange geometric glyphs. He dips the point in his flesh and wets it with blood, your blood, his blood. Soon he'll see that tools can cut their builder's hand, Inifere whispers, more to himself than to you. Suddenly the gates shatter inward. Before the splintered wood and twisted iron even hit the floor, the children have fallen to their knees, sobbing, clutching their ears, helpless. It is not your father who has come. Oh, boy. Floating in the breach, wreathed in smoke, is the sorrow. Yep, there it is. For the moment it makes no move, though it gives no hint as to why. It's not him, Inifere whispers, though he still stands, he is as paralyzed as his followers. Marcissa acts first, pushing herself to her feet and shrieking commands. Receive the horror, embrace it, stand, guard the master, obey the master. The others rise uncertainly while the sorrow abides. The sorrow abides. Inifere remains stupefied. Inifere, listen to me. This thing, it's called the sorrow. It will kill you all if you don't act. Study the sorrow. Throw your spear at the sorrow. Attack, children. Inifere, you need to spring the traps. So, it's an interesting question. I think we should tell him to spring the traps. I think that's probably what we need to do. Study the sorrow would be great. I mean, that's what I want to do. I don't know if that's really going to help. Study the sorrow. It is an object that defies scrutiny. You are certain it's the same thing you've faced before, but it's different, and not just in subtle ways. Its texture and even anatomy seem altered. And indeed, they continue altering before your eyes. But exactly how it is changing you cannot say, just as you cannot manage to wrap your mind around its contours. The more you look at it, the more your head aches. No, not your head, something else, something more fundamental. Whatever it is inside you that calls the tides and answers them, that is where the pain is. At last, you break your gaze, unable to maintain it any longer. Continue. The sorrow remains unmoving within the breach in the gateway. It makes no gesture, it issues no demands. It is waiting for something, or looking for something, or pondering. There is no way to judge what passes within its mind, even if it has more than mere instinct. You feel the tides washing around you, stirred up by the sorrow's arrival, but here in Inifere's body and his mind, you have no means to turn them to your advantage. Fleeing might be a thing. I mean, that's how you deal with the sorrow. It's not doing anything, it's waiting for a trigger. Fleeing might be the answer. I'm gonna try to reason with him. For a moment, Inifere gives no reply. Then his voice choked and shrill with terror, he says simply, "Run, hide, we must escape. We." A form of progress in the face of annihilation. Ah! The smoke around the sorrow churns and its alien gaze sweeps across the room with a predator's contempt for a kind. But without a predator's hunger, its patience, like its resolve, is inexhaustible and almost indifferent. The children cower as its gaze passes over them, and some cry out, "Master, save us!" But Inifere is gone, hidden somewhere, in the recesses of your mind. As indifferent to their terror as he was to their praise. See, now I kind of want to spring the traps, but fleeing is a possibility. Let's try this. I mean, you know, Chekhov's ciphers, right? Your words, your thoughts, make their way to the dark corner of your mind, where Inifere has hidden. You feel him stir, numb and mute. A piece of knowledge unfolds, how to trip the traps rigging the hall. It takes no more than a whisper. Rebirth. The room explodes with light and sound. Prismatic beams blast from... They've got a word I don't know. Machicolations? Sure. Synth nets spring from corners, projectiles pepper the sorrow, energy fields encase it. After the fireworks comes stillness and silence. The sorrow is unharmed. If anything, it is stronger. Wings unfurl. Arms stretch. Fields shatter. Nets sunder, and myriad darts fall free from its body. Worthless, a dead voice whispers. Vain idiot. The sorrow sweeps forward into the hallway, moving so fast you can hardly track it. It swaddles one of the children in its shifting limbs, but when it releases him, he is simply snuffed out. Not dead, but gone. The sorrow pauses above its kill and seems to read the room again, seeking without finding, but implacable as ever. Flee! I think now is the time to flee! As you turn to flee, the sorrow stirs from its stupor. Marcissa grabs you by the shoulder, her nails drawing blood. Hurry, she hisses. She yanks your hand, and you find yourself following. She has pulled Inifere back, too, it seems. As you retreat, Marcissa cries out, "Stand, rise upon the pain!" The slaughter that ensues behind you is strangely silent. Shuffling steps, half-hearted battle cries, smothered deaths. Marcissa hurries you through a wooden... I can't speak. Marcissa hurries you through a warren of tunnels until you pass through another gate. This one made not of wood and iron, but of solid azure steel. As you pass through, the vault seals shut behind you. The room has the faded opulence of a lost civilization. The ornate reliefs carved from the granite walls have crumbled and eroded to abstract deformities. Ancient flickering lights line the ceiling. Their humming resonates with the metal floor, and their bluish light illuminates the tarnish. Okay. In the center of the room, a silver throne rests on a dais. Unlike the floor, the throne shines as if recently polished. Tiny gleaming needles line the armrests, and a halo-like ring hangs above the back. Marcissa is doubled over, gasping for breath, retching. Your own body, weak as it may be, is untroubled. Inifere's gone again, yet something lingers like spores from his mind infecting yours. Inifere, examine the throne. Your mind is bleeding into mine. Can you use that to give me Choi's remains before it's too late? Open the vault door and face the sorrow. Inifere has suffered enough, and you can learn what your foe does to Castoffs. Oh, great. Just wait. Examine the throne. As you study it, a memory bubbles up and bursts into your consciousness. Inifere sits motionless on the throne. Marcissa adjusts dials on its back. The children gather around like supplicants. Suppliants, it says, seeking an audience. Now, Marcissa intones, be one with the master. Inifere has only an instant to ponder how he has consented to this abomination before the vassening overtakes him. Vassening, that's a good word. The children wail, writhe, soil themselves, vomit. One staggers to her feet and drags a dagger across her throat. Another gouges out his eyes. They're hearing the voices, feeling the loathing that is festered inside Inifere. It's more than mortals can bear. It's sublime. His memory ends. His shame lingers. Marcissa rises to her feet a bit unsteadily. She examines both you and herself, as if searching for physical evidence of the peril you've escaped. She finds none. The sorrow's violence fell upon others, who remain at its mercy beyond the vault door. Master, tell me how I may serve, what I may endure in your cause. Hidden though Inifere may be, his contempt at this continued fraud burns in your gut like acid. What is this place? How does this throne work? Enough with the charade. Enough with the charade, Marcissa. I know you don't believe in any of this. Inifere, your mind's bleeding into mine. Can you use that to give me Choi's remains before it's too late? Open the vault door. I want to keep pursuing this about Choi, but, I do want to say this to Marcissa.
I'll remember that.
Oh, apparently something happened. Inifere hears you. You feel him pondering, the weight of his thoughts shifting beside your own. At last, in a low hiss, he answers, You're a fool. If you want this burden, take it. Then his mind stabs into yours like a syringe, and the echo of Choi that survived inside him is now inside you. He withdraws, but she remains, and it is as if a pall has settled over your consciousness. Inifere seems about to speak, but in the end he says nothing. In the recesses of your mind, you hear a faint weeping. Whatever your grief, this will surely be a better home for her. Great! So, she's gonna, doubt if I ask any of these questions. Someone's coming. Let's do it. Marcissa frowns. Master? She begins before trailing off. She stares intently, perhaps reading Inifere as easily as he read her. Eventually she shakes her head. You're wrong. There is something I've believed in all this time. If I could help you find some good in all your suffering, prove that it gave hope to others, meaning to others. If I could lighten your burden, even a gram, then... She shakes her head again. We've all suffered, Inifere. There must be something good born from it, even if only a noble lie. Inefere's jaded senses can find no falsehood in her, and you feel him sink even further into despair as he realizes Marcissa is not the hypocrite he believed. For the sake of one, you've hurt dozens, and the only thing you've made from suffering was more of it, and a heavier burden. You've been a good servant, Marcissa. We can't escape suffering with lies, Marcissa, only with understanding. That's a thought. Yeah, that's a guilt trip. Let's try to get her here. Marcissa, no, of course not. Marcissa shakes her head. No, she answers. The more I understand of the world, the more I see to hate. Her sad, ugly face twists in a sad, ugly smile. Sometimes, Master, I'm afraid you've come to understand too much, and now you're alone in the dark truth. But thanks to that, you'll shine all the brighter for the children. For a moment, Inifere's consciousness stirs, and an image spills from his mind to yours. A lighthouse above a wild sea, its lamp drawing in desperate storm. Tossed sailors, even as cyclopean monsters circle its base. Waiting, hungering, exulting. What is this place? Narcissa gives you an odd look as if you should know the answer, as if it is madness to ask a tourist question, while death itself roams the halls, but she replies all the same. This is the Sanctum Sanctorum, where sibyls shared their lucid dreams with princes and peasants and popes. She smiles faintly. You wanted a place where you could be alone. I gave it to you. You remember, Inifere remembers. The day you came to this retreat, more fortress than temple, hacked from granite hills, not alone. The children trailing you like chicks, but inside the promise of solitude. A false promise, like all the ones life makes. So dark, but you know. You got a point. For the moment, the vault door still holds, though more blisters have risen and burst across its surface. It is only a matter of time before the sorrow gains entry. How does the throne work? Narcissa shrugs. It's a mystery. When you sat upon it, we shared in the ecstasy of your suffering. When the sibyls sat upon it, they shared their dreams. Only the Harifi who assembled it for them could say how it works, and he has long since turned to dust. I know only enough to activate and amplify the device. Now the door has become mottled. Its alloyed ancient elements are separating. A lattice of hairline cracks appears, and you hear a low moaning as of a beast that has endured too much punishment. The dead voices cackle about vanity and futility and how all that you touch turns to schist, and the others give their own message, the comfort of a familiar whip and the promise you won't perish. Before I do this, face the sorrow in a final ambush. Inifere? He doesn't answer your call, but you can hear him whispering to himself, perhaps to the dead souls who haunt his mind. The gate, he says over and over again. Eventually thoughts rise up from the ferment of his terror, and you understand how he opens the endless gate. It's not a tidal surge, not even some cast-off power. It's simply a matter of turning inward and embracing the horror inside him. He doesn't even open the gate himself. The creatures beyond do. He only needs his suffering to shine like a beacon across the plains, and they worm their way to him. And now you know how to kindle that flame. It is coming now. There is a stillness in the air. The prickle of a storm about to burst. The tides are being stirred. Narcissa feels it too. She stops her pacing and stares at the vault door, at the widening, hissing cracks. Inifere feels it and twitches free from his stupor. Terror has put its spurs to him, and those beyond the gate offer a lump of salt. The door bursts. The sorrow enters. The gate opens. Flaming, fetid familiar. Beyond is pain and those who delight in pain. As the sorrow ponders this eruption, Inifere runs toward the gate. Closer, closer. You smell the sulfur. But the sorrow has your scent now and moves like the wind, too fast. No, cries Narcissa, diving between you and the sorrow. She slows it for only an instant before it turns her to a red mist. It's enough. Inifere crosses over. I was supposed to keep him from going in, wasn't I? Behind you, the sorrow floats impotently. It cannot or will not cross the threshold. It goes. Then the pain comes, a great wave that washes all else away, and you're drowning in it, and at last your mind can bear no more. I'm gonna have to fight him now. Should have sat in the freaking throne. Well, let's find out. New reflection is forming in the labyrinth. Never has your body been a more welcome home than when returning from Inifere's mirror. Though his wretchedness lingers in your memory, you see again through your own eyes, and even this horrific place seems more wholesome than the refuge where Inifere faced the sorrow. Inifere stares at you with newfound recognition, but even as he does, you feel a dark presence stirring around you, the same one you sensed in the mirror. Something has sensed your meddling, and it means to put an end to it. Inifere smiles, for the first time without spite. Brother, he says softly, not so little, not so young. Now you are truly of my flesh. Then he shudders as if he has taken a chill, and a shadow passes over his face. Ooh. That's why you protected Kiyatawa. She reminds you of Narcissa somehow, doesn't she? If you need to close the gate now before they take control of you. I'd like to ask you some more questions. No, let's not do that. Ah, XP. Inifere says nothing, but his furtive glances at everything but you say enough. Not gonna tell him to kill himself. I am gonna say you need to close the gate before they take control of you. Your brother nods. This place has brought but woe and false hope. Let it go.
I'll remember that.
Inifere seals his eyes shut and begins to howl. You feel the world around you, about you, shifting and churning. Everything grows dark and empty, save for voices almost as soft as silence itself. Okay. I think we just finished it, whatever it was. Okay. Somehow, Inifere's decision to close the gate forces you back outside. Inifere is gone. There's no telling where, but the gate is closed behind you. Without the gate, the cultists have no reason to kill anymore. Or less reason, at least. Nice. You're not the only thing that has been expelled from the gate. A small pile of objects lies at your feet. Quijano tel Tabosa. Ah, that was well done, he says, clapping you on the shoulder. A knight should always seek a peaceful resolution to problems. To treat bloodshed as the last resort. He only sounds half convinced by his own words, but claps you on the shoulder again, making your teeth ache. Well done, noble knight. Very well done. Then he shuts his eyes. All right. Why are you closing your eyes? Our adventure together is done, he says gently. It is time to find another, but eyes are poor organs. They can only see things as they are. He straightens. Instead, I will walk until I am needed, listening for the cries of the lost and the weeping of the hopeless. Only deprived of sight can I feel the tugging of destiny upon my heart, leading me where I must go. Is that a kidnapped child I hear? I will soon find out. Where are you going again? Where I am needed, he says with quavering dignity, his eyes still tightly closed. Farewell, Quijano Tabosa. To you as well, noble knight. Yeah, no, not that way. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Well, that was fun. What do we have here? Okay. Well, we finished Severed Child. Stirring memory of a floating crystal in the valley belonging to a man tormented by horrors beyond his control, bloodthirsty cultists. You learned more about Marcissa. I was right, the Mirrorcaster belongs to Inifere. If he's the troubled man from the crystal's memory, perhaps I can use the Mirrorcaster to help him, or at least end all of this. Yes. Right. We did all these things. Okay. Endless horror. Inform the memorialists the gate is closed. It wasn't easy, but I convinced Inifere to close the gate and leave the valley. I doubt he'll open it again anytime soon. I should return to the memorialists to tell them what I've done. Sure. Okay, still need to meet whoever that is. Alright. Sure, we'll take care of that. Endless gate entrance. Closed! Alright.
Alright.
Gonna go back to the entrance. Alright, field of energy surrounds you, same tight sucking sensation, etc., etc. I wonder, after we search a requisite number of tombs, if, we learn more. I closed the gate. Hopefully the cultists will stop bothering you soon. Truly, her face becomes full of light. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Both the living and the dead are forever in your debt.
Making a note.
I regret I have nothing to give you. We do not have much in the way of personal possessions. However, there is one who might. Ronos Kaisul. He likes to collect odd relics from the alcoves outside. He would be more than happy to reward you on our behalf, I'm sure, if he has anything to give. Seek him out in the valley. Very well. Friend and savior. Yes. Okay. Go get your trophy. I told Talira in the necropolis that the gate is closed. It's now closed. She was very grateful and said I should talk to Ronos in the valley about a reward. Sure, let's do that. I know. I keep doing this. Yes. All right.
Let's go.
Spending effort on an attack not only increases your chance to hit, but also increases the damage you deal. Yay. Well, that was something, I gotta tell you. Can't remember if it's that one. I think it is. I think that's the one I want. It is.
Yes.
All right. XP! Choice thoughts jangle about in your head as you stand before this man who calls himself Ronos Kaisul. She starts with alienation and rage at this theft of her father's self, but with the fickle speed of youth, her heart changes, thudding along until it reaches its ultimate conclusion. That this is how the world reworks itself and tries again, like a child kneading clay between her fingers and dreaming of all it can be. Then you're alone again in your mind. Ronos Kaisul's eyes alight when he sees you return. The children of the Endless Gate have curtailed their activities, and I have no doubt it was due to your actions. He presses the device into your hands. Please, take this as a token of our gratitude.
I'm ready to learn something.
Ah, leveling up. Truly, I don't know what brought you into the valley, friend, but we are all grateful that you came. Is there anything else I can do for you? What's this? Brace of Mighty Calastor. That's an artifact. Okay, +1 might edge, +1 damage per effort applied, max +6 on necessary attacks. -2 might pool. Alright. It's worth quite a lot, though. There's that. When this synth device is put on, it suffuses the wearer with physical energy flowing throughout the body, radiating inwards to reinforce blood flow and energy resources. The device utilizes your body's natural processes to direct this energy so it can cause a strain on the wearer even as it heals him. Mystical lore. You have heard whispers of a legendary glaive known as Mighty Calastor. Mighty Calastor, not particularly skilled or smart, Calastor's legend lives to this day primarily because his career as a warrior spanned to the end of his days at a very ripe old age. Even as his hair fell out and his limbs turned thin and frail, Calastor was still fighting on the front lines of some of the most famous battles of the Sagas Protectorate. Now it appears you have found at least part of the secret to his story. Ah! Cool. Nope, I'm good. Alright. There, that takes care of that last side thingy we had to do here.
Yes. Now.
We gotta head back. I do wonder if I should at some point, go into the space in the head and talk to Choi Oh, we can all level up.
On it.
I do wonder that. Because if we do that, then that might give us more we can say to Rona Skyzul. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, maybe. It's a thought.
All right.
I know. Haven't leveled up yet. I will. I'll level everyone up in a little bit. I'm gonna go back to the first Castoff's tomb. Because we gotta go to the place where all the wonderful destruction happens. Because we're gonna take another stab at it.
All right.
Not today, but we're going to, because I'm gonna... We've only got like about 15 minutes left or so, and I don't want to go diving through that again. Through that mirror and everything again. Yeah, let's not worry about that yet. Mirror are kind of exhausting, intellectually speaking.
I'm going.
I am, however, curious about the possibility of touching this thing going into the place, the in-between place, and having a little chat with Choi. I'm wondering if I should go ahead and level up now. Unionist.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we'll level everybody up. We'll do the bookkeeping. Do you remember what you wanted? Extra effort? I think I want extra effort. It was either that or... wanted to up my onslaught. Or up my flash. That would be more damage. Extra effort. That'll come in handy. Alright. Rin. Oh, well, she can take his extra effort. So, yes. What is Cipher Adept, God of Change. What's this? Conserve the next cipher used, allowing it to be used a second time. Cannot be used with items that grant permanent bonuses. Ooh. That could come in real handy, especially with the healing. Or +1 trained leveling concentration skill. We're taking that. If we can. I don't know, is it a one-time thing only? Yeah. Resourceful. +1 training cipher use skill. Quantum step. Teleport one ally to a point within range. That could be way useful. Mind barrier. +1 intellect pool. +1 armor. Quantum step. That's gonna be good. And select a skill to increase. Mystical lore, machinery lore, natural lore, running, would be good. Perception or stealth. I think running or stealth. We're gonna go with running. Alright, good, good. Matkina. We can increase her stat pool, so let's do that. We're gonna up her speed. Because I think that's really... Let's face it, that's majorly where Matkina lives. Unless you wanted to up her might. I think her speed is where we need to put it. Cipher limit increase could be good. Lucky combatant plus 15% on attacks. Holy crap. Amorotic field. Enemies within range of Matkina who fail to resist gain blinded. Evasion. Consumes an action. Let's take lucky combatant. And one of these things. Illusory Warrior. Some of the psychic construct helps you flank your enemies. The character can only summon one Illusory Warrior. That could be cool. Analytic Attack. Attack that deals weapon damage +3 if the target has any negative petals. You regain health equal to 50% of the damage dealt. Oh, that could be really great. Myalgic Dust. Which costs intellect. Fling a cloud of nanoparticles in front of you, dealing physical damage. Oh, yeah, I'm taking Analytic Attack. That would be cool. Alright. Endurance. No. Light weapons. Deception, running, quick fingers. I'm going to increase our light weapons. Of course I am. Alright, and finally, Eratus. A quick, overly impulsive glaive who is as heroic as he believes himself to be. Oh, so many things we could do here. I'm going to up his edge. I think is usually where we want to go. Up his might. There we go. Okay. Excellent. They are leveled. Game was saved again, apparently. But just in case, because they've shown me that banner before. Leveled up. Yes. Hasn't been leveled yet. That's coming in a minute. This may be fruitless, but I want to interact with it. Let the structure kill you again. Yes. Again, you force your hand into the repulsive waves and onto the structure. You go blind immediately, feeling yourself falling into the bottomless darkness. Into a bottomless darkness through clouds of slimy probing bodies. Something powerful crushes your heart within your chest. And then you feel nothing.
I'm hurt.
Pain. Nope, just want to see. Just wanted to see where we are. Oh, it's you. Alright. Well, they said a new place opened up in the labyrinth. That's kind of what I was curious about. Joy of spirit, I suppose, was in the chaos and Inifere managed to pull her out of his mind into mine. Was help her and Inifere to find peace. I'd like to bring him along. Now is not the time. Okay, not you. We get a map. To Sorrow's Fathom. To Daughter's Fathom. To Clock Fathom.
All right.
There we go. There's Joy.
Of course.
The transparent form of a girl, Choi realizes, huddles here, clutching herself. Her eyes are closed, breathing slow and even. Other than the rise and fall of her small shoulders, she is utterly motionless, and that makes the sound she's making all the more audible. It is a moaning coming from the back of her throat, a low guttural sound of fear and pain. The sound rises, surrounding you like an invisible electric force in the air, a chorus of 1,000 soft screams cut short. The hairs along your arms rise, sizzling. Talk to Choi, form a connection to Choi's reflection. Leave Choi alone. The knuckles of her small hand tighten around her arms as you lean closer. What happened to you? She holds herself tighter and shakes her head. How are you? She blinches as struck, does not respond. Are you alright? Can you talk about what happened? Form a connection. You open your mind to hers, and icy terror pours into your mind, filling your veins, clutching at your throat. You breathe, forcing the foreign emotions away, and the physical symptoms subside for now. The rigid line of Choi's shoulders relaxes a fraction of an inch. You appear to have taken some of her burden from her. Choi's bomb. Okay. Don't know what it does. Her terror spreads through you like cold water, a wordless keening that coils around your nerves like white fire. I'll leave Choi alone. I have to wonder. So what did we get from that? New ability, Choi's Balm. Ah, here it is. +1 training level in endurance skill. You've given Choi a piece of sorts. She returns the favor, helping you endure through difficult and painful times. Oh, cool. Okay. What was the deal with this thing over here? I feel like this is the worst possible place to go. Or I've been afraid to. I don't know. Going and facing the sorrow. Not the greatest idea. However. Let's try something, shall we? Spend XP to advance your characters, gain more, mostly from solving quests, and discoveries. As your body pours from the portal, an ad hoc laboratory comes into view. Irregular catwalks connect several platforms, each littered with dusty machines, tools, and displays. In the center of each platform stands a strong glass tank, glowing like the orbs from the dark fathom you were born in. You have a feeling that, like the orbs, those tanks contain your memories. Each tank is connected to a machine on the same platform. Caustic black ichor sputters from all but the nearest of the glowing tanks, keeping you from seeing or even feeling what lies inside. The oily film on the nearest machine pauses, almost as if it has noticed your presence. It begins to drain from the device. As the black sludge coalesces, you recognize it as a fragment of the sorrow, stronger from feeding on your subconscious all this time. Oh boy. Because the fragments have been feeding on your tidal energy, you sense that they are bound to you, at least for now. You may be able to use the machines in this place to manipulate them. A mental reflex twitches, a subconscious response to the perceived threat, calling forth reflections of your current companions. Oh my god. I didn't want to do this yet. But it is an interesting question, is it not? I will think upon it, because we are near the end here, and combat may take a while. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna close it off here, I think. I mean, I guess I could just keep fighting it until I go crazy. How long will it take? Ah, what the hell. We'll give it a shot. I saved the game.
Okay, I guess I can use this.
Okay, so we're trying to trap or kill the sorrow fragments infesting the fathom. Use the lab machines to attract and ensnare the creatures. 5 sorrow fragments remaining. This is going to take for freaking ever. Resonance chamber looking thing. So, I mean, we could always just go back through. But it's good to see where stuff is. Huh. It's an interesting idea. Emit a psychic static, disrupting your ability to understand what the flickering holograms from this machine are trying to convey. interesting. I mean, that's always a possibility, just leave. We're gonna retreat. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. We actually can do that. Okay. But we can go back later. I will think upon it and figure out where we go. So I think we're gonna just save the game in this roiling strangeness and figure out what we want to do from there. The calm purple. And that is where we stay. So, that's going to be interesting. I don't know if we're going to tackle that next week first, or if we're just going to go through with returning to Mielavest and dealing with all that happened there that I died last time trying to deal with. So we shall see. In the meantime, what is happening? Well, tonight, over on Off the Table, we are we're going back to the San Guajona. We're going back to Urban Shadows. This is a new season set in the 1890s. We're playing mostly new characters, and it'll be. I am very excited. I've been crazy excited about this game for quite some time, and so that's, I think, going to be fun. Tabletop game powered by the Apocalypse. Urban fantasy, should there be any interest in that. So that's going to be over on off_the_table tonight in a few hours. In about 3 hours from now, I believe. Tomorrow morning I will be back here playing We Happy Few. I'm going to be continuing with that at last. I'm very excited to get back to that. Then on Sunday, I will that morning be playing I'll be playing Age of Mythology once again. The campaign against Troy is done, and so now we're helping out some centaurs, and we'll see how things go there. I think we got very close to the end of a scenario with that one, or we made the end of the scenario, and then we were about to go into the next one. So that's, I think, where we are. Then later that day, hopefully, if I can get enough people, we will be back on this channel, back to Tabletop RPGs. We're going to be doing another game of Everyone is John. That was a lot of fun last week, very funny, and I'm hoping we are able to do the same this week. I gotta try to assemble one or two more folks real quick, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it'll be all right. Let's see. And then Monday, over on Katie's channel, Katie Face, Katyfaise, that afternoon I'm going to be running Inspectors. It's again paranormal comedy. A short campaign that we're doing over there. Then also that week, back on this channel on Thursday evening, we're going to have the start of Durance. We're doing a short campaign of that we did some one-shots of that on this channel earlier. And it's about the struggle of power between the convicts and the authority on a distant prison planet, so that's going to be fun. Sign-ups for that end today. So that's something to look at if you want to dive in there. There's still a chance if you want to do it. And then, of course, on we will be back around to Friday afternoon, and we'll do more of this. I'm actually getting a little more interested now, because we kind of jumped a few hurdles. And there's stuff here I haven't looked at, and I need to see kind of where we want to go. So we'll, I shall think on that in the coming week, and we'll figure that out. Again, for anyone who wants to jump into any of the tabletop games that are still being run this month on this channel, you can go down to click on game sign up, the game sign up link, and it'll take you to the page on my website where you can do that. My website is jimyesthatjim.com. You can go there and click on game sign up as well, and it'll take you to that page if you want to learn more about the various games we're doing. Still need, like I said, one or two more folks for Everyone is John. So if you want to play that on Sunday, that'd be awesome. But once again, that's happening. Again, still looking for people for Durance. Later in the month, we're doing 3 Days Until Retirement, which is sort of a parody of cop dramas. And then at the end of the month, Genesis Undone, a one-shot of that. It's a little game I wrote about treating the dawn of civilization as a Shakespearean tragedy. So we'll sort of see how that goes. There we are. New announcements will be coming soon about things happening later this month, but I shall not go into detail at this time. I shall go into detail later. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I will see you all of a sudden.